Hey guys, this is Poohead189, and today we're going to be going back to our regularly scheduled programming with a Dragon Ball dive on Tien, otherwise known as Tien Shinhan or Tien Shinhan. That's right, this channel is not actually about Daima or even titties. It is about Dragon Ball lore and speculation, and today we're going to do a deep exploration on why Tien Shinhan is easily one of the most skilled fighters in the entirety of the original Dragon Ball series. As we are all aware, though the original series was not a paragon of logic, it does adhere to a certain ethos and rationale that Dragon Ball Super and Daima seem to be lacking. And so I will not be talking about Super, because in Super it does seem that Tien Shinhan has dropped significantly in terms of skill and even strength, and that remains unexplained, other than Toriyama and Toyotaro simply needing someone to lose or be pummeled so others can win, without thought to how a character, in this instance Tien, might have improved. This is what we call the Worf effect when it comes to tropes. And while that obviously does happen in the original manga, Toriyama did a better job of providing opportunities for the other characters to get a chance to shine in it. Which is very strange because people were yearning for that kind of thing throughout the original series, and then when Super came around, people were thinking that finally this would be the time where the humans, or anyone that wasn't Goku or Vegeta, would be able to shine, and that hasn't really happened much once that started, unfortunately. However, that being said, let's dive into this video on Tien Shinhan in the original series, and just how skilled or strong he is. Now, one of the most interesting aspects of Dragon Ball is how well Toriyama is able to channel the wuxia genre with certain tropes. And one of them is the concept of a group of rival martial artists who come together to test their skills and join forces when need be for the safety of both themselves and the world at large. And despite their camaraderie and even friendship, they are still all rivals trying to one-up one another. Each member goes off to increase their strength, improve their skills, and make new techniques, not only to protect the world, but to showcase their own abilities. When the Z Fighters realize the androids are to arrive, though Goku, Piccolo, and Gohan team up to train, all the others go off to train alone, as they had half a dozen times before. Well, I guess Tien is usually technically not alone, he has Chaozu, but you know what I mean. And even rereading or rewatching the series for the 100th time, you wonder what exactly they were doing while they were in the wilderness, how exactly they were preparing, and there's always the thought that they might surprise you when they return from their training journeys. This gives the viewer or the reader a sense of participation to the story. You take your favorite character and you wonder what new skills they have, what their strengths are, what their strategies are, and what exactly did they do during their absence. There is no other character that exemplifies this age-old trope like Tien Shinhan, in my opinion. Tien Shinhan is based off of the epitome of a Chinese martial artist and the Shaolin monks of old, coupled with the three-eyed Erlang Shen from Journey to the West. And Erlang Shen is also a real historical deity in Chinese folk religion, generally depicted as a young noble warrior with three eyes, who slays demons and monsters and is accompanied by a loyal black dog named Zhao Xian Quan, which likely is represented by Chaozu in the story of Dragon Ball, as the names are not too dissimilar when it comes to spelling. But to get back to Tien, I think it's fair to say he is quite powerful and skilled, and even his haters can admit he does a few rather impressive things. But how is he impressive? Well, a lot of people would point to the 22nd World Tournament, the tournament that Tien wins. It's clear when he showed up, the tone of the series shifted. It was still a fantastical adventure, but there was a certain martial professionalism Tien brings to the table that added a sense of traditional yet dangerous realism. Tien plows through the preliminary rounds and fights Yamcha first. Now, Yamcha was actually the character that improved the most over the past few years in universe. He went from being the one left behind to bringing two new techniques and a real increase in strength to the tournament. Unfortunately, Tien had been trained far longer than Yamcha and likely had more experience in these kinds of fights, and he pulled out a win. Next, Tien fights Jackie Chun, otherwise secretly known as Master Roshi, and this is where we find out that not only is Tien as strong as an improved Roshi, but he surpassed his own Master Shin, or Suru Senin. In fact, Roshi had trained the past few years and had come to this tournament with the express purpose of defeating Goku, Krillin, and Yamcha, But after fighting Tien, Roshi realized that Tien would be the one to do it, and gave up. And of course, following that, Tien fought Goku during the final match. It went back and forth multiple times, but despite Tien getting help from Chaozu without his knowledge, and Goku using Roshi's sunglasses to get through the solar flare, they seemed to be equally matched until Tien pulled out the Tri-Beam. However, Goku was still clever enough to utilize his Kamehameha to make the match a question of gravity, but Tien pulled off the win. It was a great match, showcasing Tien's immense strength, skill, and various techniques. However, while many might take this as a true testament to his skills, I wouldn't say it is the most prevalent. Though Tien did win every match, it is also true he was older than both Goku and Krillin, and received more training than Yamcha, and a master that knew about everything Roshi did. So while Tien was skilled enough to reach that level of mastery, and earned his victory, he did also have a background that helped him achieve it. Now, as we all know, especially for people who have been watching my videos for any length of time, especially my video on Tien and the Tri-Beam, is that being able to learn the Tri-Beam or Kikoho is impressive. Being able to perform it is amazing, and being able to perform it without killing yourself is incredible. Then to add even another level of insane skill, creating an even more powerful, less dangerous version of it, being the Neo Tri-Beam or Shin Kikoho, is, well, I would say a lot of people would say this is Tien's greatest achievement. In the Android arc, Piccolo arrives with an insane power-up, Vegeta arrived with the Super Saiyan transformation, but Tien showed up with the biggest trump card. Seeing the writing on the wall, he knew, despite his ability to receive great gains in strength, that Piccolo's fusions and Saiyan's transformations meant he could not keep up traditionally, and so while he increased his strength, he refined his technique, making it 10 times as safe and likely over 100 times more powerful. However, while that is typically understated in the fandom, that is a bit overstated on this channel. And while all of this is immensely impressive, beyond most character achievements really, Tien did have the opportunity to learn it at King Kai safely, and was also fortunate enough to be taught the base technique in the first place. So what else is there? Well, it could be Tien learning techniques on the fly with incredible ease. We see firsthand with Tien learning the Kamehameha immediately, and Tien perfecting the legendary Mafuba or Evil Containment Wave in a matter of hours, even with the trauma of his adoptive brother Chaozu and new master Roshi dying before his eyes. Not to mention he also thinks Goku is dead. And then some might say Tien is impressive simply because he refuses to stay down, like in the Saiyan saga. After he beats the Cyberman in 2 moves, his arm is knocked off by Nappa, but Tien gets back up multiple times and even dodges a strike from Nappa, all with his arm knocked off, and is fully prepared to keep fighting Nappa despite the injury that would keep anyone else down. Then, after Chaozu sacrifices himself, Tien has the fortitude and will to expend his life force to use the Kikoho or Tri-Beam. All of this is, well, definitely badass. However, in my opinion, none of this quite shows the epitome of his skill. In my opinion, Tien Shinhan's greatest moment, or arc, is the 23rd tournament. You see, people tend to think too much on wins and losses in some puerile form of gotcha. They don't see the context of various scenes. Tien doesn't have to be the overall winner of the tournament for this to arguably be the greatest show of his skill. Just like how I said that I think Yamcha was the most impressive one in the 22nd tournament even though he lost his first match. You see, after King Piccolo was defeated, Goku was allowed to train on Kami's lookout under the tutelage of Kami or God and Mr. Popo, which is the greatest form of training on Earth. Now, while Tien was quite active during the King Piccolo saga, he did not have time to train or get a boost in strength, like Goku with the Sacred Divine Water, which meant that while Tien was a step ahead of Yamcha, whose leg was broken, and Krillin, who was dead, Goku was now 2 steps ahead of Tien and rapidly advancing beyond him, after both his potential was unlocked and now being trained by God. And so once Krillin and Yamcha were healed, the 2 of them, along with Tien, sought to find new ways to try and compete with Goku in the next tournament, although being unaware of Piccolo Jr.'s existence. 3 years later, they show back up to the tournament. Surprisingly, so does Mercenary Tao, now Cyborg Tao. Now, Mercenary Tao was the greatest assassin in the world before Goku's training with Korin, and Goku defeating him and maiming him. Cyborg Tao shows up to the tournament, fully aware of how strong Goku was when he was beaten, and very likely fully aware of how strong Tien was during the 22nd tournament. In fact, his skill and newfound strength, enhanced by cybernetics, scares the crap out of Roshi, who saw King Piccolo in action and seems to have some idea of how strong his former students are, so we can correctly surmise Cyborg Tao as nothing to take lightly. Yet the only hit Tao gets on Tien is from an underhanded trick with his knife, and when Tao uses his strongest attack, the Neo Dodon Ray, Tien fully nullifies it with a Ki. Yamcha and Krillin are stunned, and when Tien tosses Tao out, Krillin even says that Tien is potentially too strong. Not only that, but Goku, who had received Kami's training before and after the match, was unfazed by Cyborg Tao's return when it came to Tien, and tells everyone that Tien is amazing, twice. Then of course, we get to Goku and Tien's match. Now this match is one of the best in the series, both in the anime and in the manga, and I even think it surpasses Goku and Tien's match in the finals of the previous tournament. In this match, it is clear to me that Tien Shinhan does more with less than anyone in the series beforehand and potentially even after, except arguably for Piccolo's incredible increase in strength for the androids, but even then, Piccolo has Super Saiyan Goku as a training partner. Tien, however, only climbed Korin's tower and caught Korin and then trained alone for 3 years. During this time, Tien not only closed the gap between him and Goku, but he potentially widened the gap between himself and Yamcha and Krillin, which is insane. And that's just going by strength alone, not techniques. But let's stay on topic. During the fight, Tien and Goku are moving so fast, even Piccolo is impressed watching, noting how swift they are. And then Tien turns the speed up even more, moving quicker than Goku can keep up with, to the point Goku has to take his weighted clothes off, something Goku was not expecting to do until he fought Piccolo. Kami notes that Goku would only do that with someone Goku deems is a true challenge. Then, without his weights and at full strength, is when Goku can truly outpace Tien. In fact, something people forget is when Piccolo Jr. is about to kill Goku in the final match, Kami believes the only way to save Goku is to kill himself. He can't commit suicide, or so he says, so he turns to the strongest fighter there, Tien, to do the job. Kami knows Tien is right behind Goku in strength, despite Goku's power boosts. And we also need to acknowledge why Piccolo is interested in this matchup. It's not only for Goku, but Piccolo knows who Tien is. People tend to forget that Piccolo Jr. is not just King Piccolo's son, but his reincarnation, in a fashion at least. He's essentially King Piccolo's clone, with all of his memories and evil outlook, and in an even younger and more powerful body. And fans forget that after King Piccolo overthrew the King of the World, Tien was the first fighter to challenge him at the world capital, and though Tien was outmatched, it was through Tien's actions that led to Goku's victory, as King Piccolo used a variation of the explosive demon wave, I think it's called the hyper-explosive wave, to wipe out Goku. But Tien saves Goku just in time using his Buku Jutsu, or flying technique. This expends King Piccolo's energy enough to where he is vulnerable enough for Goku to finally beat him. In fact, other than Goku, Tien is probably the biggest threat on Piccolo's radar, and definitely his second highest priority on his hit list. And so Piccolo Jr. watching the match is curious on Tien's progress as well, and this seems to continue on in the series, with Piccolo respecting Tien's skills in various panels and scenes in the Saiyan and Android arcs. However, let's get back to the match. Even when Goku is at full strength, Tien is not done. He pulls out the multi-form, a technique that, according to the Daizenshu, only Tien can accomplish, despite what filler might tell you. Somehow, he made a technique that not only makes copies of himself, but the copies all work under Tien's central control, whilst simultaneously being able to move independently. So Tien not only gains the most strength on his own skill alone in the past 3 years, defeats his former master, and impresses both Piccolo and Kami, who are the devil and god figures of the world, but he created a technique no one else can achieve in the canon. It's in my humble opinion that Tien Shinhan's achievements in the 23rd tournament solidify him as a legend amongst the Z fighters, and marks him as one of, if not the most skilled fighter in the series. An absolute badass, and definitely deserved of more respect amongst the fandom. Okay everyone, that's all I have to say today. Hope you enjoyed the talk. Thanks so much for listening, and remember to like, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. And please, if you have some loose change, please consider joining the Patreon. It would mean a lot to me and my team, but either way, I appreciate you watching. Alright everyone, have a great day and keep being cool. See ya!